Welcome to Living Clean in the Country. Today we are going to do a DIY farmhouse welcome sign that you can hang your keys on if you want to. We're going to start with painting a 1 liter milk jar. I'm actually using Behr Marquise paint in the color Weathered White. Make sure you paint this all the way around, top and bottom. I actually ended up doing 2 coats just to get the right consistency that I wanted. If you want a more rustic weathered look, then after it's dried, take some sandpaper to certain places and make it look the way that you want it to. This is a very customizable project, so you can actually make it match your decor that you have in your house. Next, we're going to take a piece of wood. I ended up using a 1 foot by 1.5 foot by about 2 inches thick piece of wood that I had laying around. You want it sanded down. I didn't want it too smooth, so I didn't sand it too much, but you can make this as smooth or as rough as you want it to match your preferences. Once you sand it down to your desired smoothness, then you want to take a cloth or something to wipe it off so that there's no particles on it. And then I actually took Varathane in the color Worn Navy and I stained it just using a brush. I brushed it on smoothly and evenly to all the surfaces that were going to be shown. Here's another place that you can change this color to match your own decor so that it fits into your house nicely. Once I finished covering all the spots, I let it sit for a couple minutes to soak in some of the stain, and then I took a rag and wiped off the excess stain so that it came out the desired look that I was looking for. Then I let the stain dry for 2 hours before the next step. On my computer, I chose the style and spacing I wanted for my wording and mirrored it so that it printed out backwards. Now I'm going to take Mod Podge in satin. I am going to coat just the words on my piece of paper with a nice even coat. And then flattening it onto the board where I would like it to be placed. Now that that's on nice and smooth, I'm going to flip it over and I'm going to stain the other side of my board so that it is all evenly coated. Since I already sanded this at the beginning, I don't need to sand it again. Just like with the other side, once I have finished putting on the stain, I am going to wait a couple minutes and then I'm going to wipe it off with a rag again. Once it's all wiped off, I'm going to flip it back over and put some weights on top of where I glued on the paper to hold it down flat overnight. And I'm going to let it dry overnight. Once it has dried overnight, I'm going to remove the pieces of wood, and with a wet sponge, I am going to soak the paper thoroughly. Once the paper has been soaked, I am able to remove the paper, and it should reveal to me that the ink has been left on the wood. Make sure you scrub the wood thoroughly and get all the pieces of paper off, and then wipe it off once you're finished. Now that the paper has been completely removed, I'm going to coat the entire piece of wood with the Mod Podge. Once it has been completely coated, I'm going to let it dry for a couple hours before our next step. Now that it's dry, I'm going to flip it over and add in my rope that I'm going to hang it from. So I'm going to evenly space out 2 screws to tie my rope to make a little hanger hook. I didn't screw the screws all the way in because I wanted to tie some knots into the string and then attach it to the screws, and then once the knots are on the screws, then screw it all the way in to hold it in better. I hope that makes sense. You can also just buy a hook to hang it with. That's a normal hangy hooky thing. Once that is on securely, I'm going to flip this over so that I can actually line up the hose clamps to put them on to the front side to hold the bottle on. I used 2 different size hose clamps for this, one that fit on the bottom nicely and one that fit on the top nicely. I lined them up to where I wanted the bottle to sit. I wanted it to be a bit on an angle, so it almost looked like it was slightly pouring it out. I then attached the bottom hose clamp using 2 screws and the top one just using 1. This was a little bit difficult, but I managed to do it. Once these are both on, I put in the bottle to make sure that I line them up properly. I then tightened the hose clamps around the bottle and snipped off the excess hose clamp metal and sanded where I snipped down so that there wasn't any sharp edges that could actually catch on to you and possibly cut you. Optionally, I used a screw to drill some pilot holes for these little hooks that I had so I could hang some keys from the bottom. And there you have it, a beautiful farmhouse welcome sign. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe, and see you on the next one.